All right, friends, it's T-Man, and we are back with a new video, man. It's on JasonBlaha, Strength and Fitness. You know who, man. The gym lifting, recruiting, lifting slave himself. Yes, we are going to do a video on him today. We're going to review one of his videos. JasonBlaha says, science says the mind-muscle connection in a gym does help gains. It helps gains. A mind-muscle connection it helps gains. Maybe a breatharian diet does too. Wow. Let's find out.
All right, I want to chat with you guys and gals for just a few minutes about the mind-muscle connection. And for me,
Here's the funny thing. Blaha will tell you everything that is the stupidest, I don't know, info on how to build muscles, yet he'll tell you mind muscle connection, lifting a heavy weight, reps, and all this are going to build muscles. And in the end, he never tells you, hey guys, in science, it says in NCBI, PubMed NCBI, it says protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to visually see that mass on the myofibrillar. Like visually to see that mass on your body, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. And what do they mean by that? They mean that you need to eat in an anabolic growth state. You need to be in a positive nitrogen balance. You need to be in an anabolic growth state. You need to so that the catabolic hormone is shut off. It converts to an androgen, so it doesn't compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, making you anabolic. Now, how do you become anabolic? How do you become anabolic? Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. You can't walk around with any hunger pains. You need to eat all day and all night. And I mean massive amounts of food. And I'm not talking about an artificial diet either, dude. Get it? So you think about that for a second, and that's what's going to build your muscles. Is it going to make you stronger at your lifts too as well? Of course it is, because you just shut off the catabolic hormone. It converted to an androgen, so it doesn't compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, giving you more force production. So if you're anabolic, it gives you more force production. You're anabolic, you can grow muscles now. Why do people take steroids? Because they don't want to eat. They don't want to eat. They're lazy. They're poor. So they take steroids. What do steroids do? What do they do exactly? They allocate the little amount of protein that is in your body and they shuffle them into the muscles. Get it? But of course, there are other things that prevent muscles from growing. It's very specific. Myonuclear domain size limit. These nuclei that are donated by the satellite cell. They synthesize protein. Without them, you can't synthesize protein, so you can't further that domain. You can't further muscle growth. You can't support further muscle growth without them, get it? Because they synthesize protein. Their job is to synthesize protein. So if you were just to eat a lot of protein, well, I don't know. Like I said, but how big can the mass on the myofibrillar get? Well, you've never reached it. You've never reached your myonuclear domain size limit. None of you have. You all say that you got newbie gains. Nah. No, 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 no. You got myofibrillar gains, but you never really gained any mass on the myofibrillar itself. To gain that mass on the myofibrillar, which all you people are so daft, you need to be in an anabolic growth state, like it says in science. In order to see that mass on that myofibrillar, protein synthesis needs to exceed breakdown. Now, have you ever been in an anabolic growth state eating? No, because all you are lazy want to take these pills, turkesterons, and protein powders all day and eat like fake diets, like fucking, I don't know, like oats and shit and all that crappy, yucky, poisonous oats, fucking carbohydrate shit diet. Get it? And then you're building sarcoplasmic muscles. You don't even know what the hell you're getting in the gym. Most people in there, you just have no clue what bodybuilding or lifting is all about. It has nothing to do with lifting a heavy weight. It has everything to do with eating and being in an anabolic growth state. That's why people take steroids, because they want to be anabolic. How do they get anabolic without eating? They inject steroids, okay? Your body thinks it's starving, so it's going to allocate the little amount of resources that are in your body and shuffle them into the muscles. But again, they're being supported. It's being supported. That small amount is being supported by the steroid. But once the steroid stops, guess what happens? That forced production goes away because that's what was making you anabolic. Because the anabolics, the steroids, they suppress the catabolic hormone. So then again, it doesn't compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, giving them even more forced production because they injected something fake. Get it? And it is suppressing cortisol in the catabolic hormone. Get it? Now you understand how it works, dude? Yeah, making you anabolic. Now, how do you become anabolic in the natural world? Eating in an anabolic growth state. That's how. Is that hard to understand for all you people out there or what, dude?
It's really funny to talk about this because I used to make fun of this idea. Okay? I used to make fun of this idea. But you know what? I'm not a closed-minded person. I do like to follow what the evidence shows. You know, and bodybuilders talked about this for a long time. I always kind of dismissed it because I'm like, work done, muscle fiber recruitment, this is what matters, blah, blah, blah. This sounds like a bunch of hippie nonsense, a bunch of Frank Zane hippie stuff, okay? Just because of the way they termed it that way.
Frank Zane hippie stuff. So he's referring to fake bodybuilders again. Jesus. He just loves them because he's fake himself.
But there's...
Look how small his arms are. They're so tiny. If you really look at him in the camera here, he's really tiny. If he flexes, he looks like an ordinary dude walking down the street. That's why he has to wear a shirt that says deadlift on it. That's why he tried to get big before. He got big getting fat. Remember he said, "Oh, I was fat." He was fat. He was big fat. He was big fat. He wasn't big in muscle growth. He was big and fat because he never built any muscle. You understand me? Because in this mind of his, he has this crazy idea that weights are going to finally build his muscle after 35 years of lifting, that something is going to give and they finally will grow. The weight will magically make them grow on a breatharian diet. Not...
Something to be said for the fact that when a lot of people have a lot of experience with something, particularly very successful people.
I do. I have a lot of experience in bodybuilding, dude. That's why I call myself Master T. I'm a master at bodybuilding. I know everything about bodybuilding. I can make like one guy asked me, could you do a video on, becoming the fastest person in the world? Well, I did it on my old channel talking about how to run fast, be the fastest person in the world. Now, like I said, I'm good at very specific things that like gymnastics and running, swimming, and doing certain things, diving, and this bodybuilding stuff, and even running marathons. I've done those, so I'm good at those things because I did them to get the experience to understand how they work, and then I developed more experience over time because I trial and tribulations. I did so many different things, different diets, eating specific things. I finally got the food down pat because I was never really there. During COVID, I was testing to see what these foods would do to me. I thought in my head, okay, maybe this could be healthy. Now, I've never really stopped eating meat though, but definitely these fake foods would diminish you. So yeah. You have to follow your human diet. What is your human diet? If you don't know what that is, then I think you have problems. You need to go figure it out. I'm not talking about carnivore diet. People say carnivore diet. You need to find out what is the human diet. We are animals just like every other animal out there. And every animal eats what they're supposed to. If they don't eat what they're supposed to, if they eat outside their realm, they'll get sick and they could die.
It's not a good idea to dismiss something outright, okay? It's one thing to dismiss it when the evidence is lacking and it's been looked at, right? If it sounds ridiculous. But when that many champions...
Here's another thing. I posted in my community section, if you don't believe me, I posted a long time ago once about something. There was a small section, NCBI. They talk about that exercise does not correlate with longevity whatsoever. It doesn't. It just makes you fit. Also, there's a section in my community section now I put in there, and it talks about how ROS or reactive oxygen species and nitrogen, these two things, they damage you. They damage your DNA. So fitness damages you in a way. It damages you. It causes DNA damage. It accelerates aging. Okay, that's actually a bad thing. Now, me personally, I'm not a lifting slave. I don't go to gyms, lift I don't go there for fun. I don't go there to try to lift the heaviest weight. If I ever go to a gym, it's to do something very specific, and then I take long periods away from the gym. I don't go there. I don't go there. Take many months at a time, sometimes a year off here, there. I don't really go there often. And when I do, it's to accomplish something very specific, and then I go away from it.
Have used this term and they've talked about it and they've had success with this concept. And these are people who are winning. Again, it is not wise to dismiss it.
Again, what makes an army successful? Food. If you can't feed an army, they're not going to be successful in no place in the world. What makes a successful workforce? Food. If they can't eat, they can't work. In America, they have access to all kinds of food. That's why they're more productive than other countries in the world. America has much more food. There's more access to food than these other countries around the world. And then you get these crazy countries like India, where they're on like vegan diets and destroying themselves. They don't even realize it. Well, they know, but they're so stubborn. You know what I mean? They'll let cows run around the street and cows will kill them.
So I've kind of kept up with what the evidence has shown on this over the years. And lo and behold, because
Look at how light those weigh. What is that? 5 pounds on each side? No wonder why his arms are never going to go anywhere, dude. This is not enough to damage your arms if you're trying to do like muscle damage. And if you're just trying to get like, stress the myofibular and allocate the small amount of nutrients to shuffle into those arms, that ain't happening either, dude.
bodybuilders have had success with it, that means people are going to want to try to study it in the lab.
Look at this guy. He's on carbohydrates. He eats tofu. He eats pasta, hot dogs, and he drinks coffee with sugar and he's eating carbs, trust me. He's on TRT. It's absorbing carbs. That's why he looks a little bit pumped out. See what I mean? If he cut out the carbs, he'd look so flat. He'd be so flat. And at this point, he's already sarcopenia. Look at this. This is pure sarcopenia, man. 80-year-old man.
Because we need to verify what's actually going on. Okay.
Mr. Shenko, is that you? Mr. Shenko.
So there's been a number of studies that's been done on it. I think one of the first ones I mentioned, I must have mentioned it about 7 or 8 years ago the first time, when they were looking at EMG studies and they were calling it internal versus external cueing.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. Now we've got nice scientific terms instead of mind-muscle connection. Well, that makes all the difference. We use a scientific term, we're good, right? No, but the joking aside, they described the internal cueing as mind-muscle connection. We want you to focus really hard on the muscle, and they didn't do it on isolation. They did it on compound movements.
Yeah. They concentrated on the isolation. They concentrated on the muscle, and the muscles in their arms magically grew in doing concentration lifts, bro.
Internal cueing meant, so they did bench pressing, hooked up EMGs, they just had people train normally. They had people do mind-muscle connection for the pecs, and then they had them do it.
Wait. They had people do mind-muscle connection? Is that a training? Well, that must be a new type of training. Never heard of that one before, dude.
For the triceps, and then they had them do extra.
Hey, look, I'm doing a reaction video. Oh, I'm reacting. Oh my gosh.
Internal cueing. Well, it produced some interesting results.
They do,
because this was something we can measure with electromagnetic.
Wait, let me get this straight. They produced some interesting results. The mind produced some results on the body physically?
Magnetic activity showing at least nerve impulses. All right.
Somebody once asked me, they talk about religion all the time. They say, well, these guys walked on water. I said, you didn't know that there were people that studied magic, like there were magicians back then in those times? The waterways, the lakes and things, they were dirty back then. So what you think they couldn't have put a couple of planks all the way out into the water, a couple of planks on rocks, and then they went out there and it wasn't above the water, the planks, it was below the water. So when they walked out in the water, it looked like they were walking on water. I mean, come on, man. They could trick you, dude. You know what I mean? How do you trick a person walking across a swimming pool so that they think that you're walking on water? Use glass. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. There's just all kinds of things that people are so daft. You know, like these magicians, they fly up in the air, they fly in the air and all that. Go, well, we saw Jesus. He came out of a tomb and he flew in the air. He went up to heaven. How did these magicians do it? How do they fly up to heaven? They fly away. Magicians, dude. Yeah.
See where we're going here? Lo and behold, when people focus really hard on contracting their chest on the bench press, what do you think the EMG read? More electromagnetic activities in the pecs. When they focus really hard.
Yes, guys. What do you think the AMGs read in those pecs? The AMGs read that they were magically growing on a breatharian diet. True.
On contracting the triceps on the bench press, what do you think happened?
What do you think happened? Hey, come on.
The EMG went up more on the triceps compared to the control group that just did normal.
See, the EMG went up higher than the control group.
Rep tempos. Now, they also did external cueing where they moved as explosive and as hard as they could in both the pecs.
Maybe there was an irregular rhythm there in the heart, dude. I don't know.
And the triceps went up over the normal speed. But we expect that on.
Look how small those arms are. Did you see them when he popped that? Look at them. They're so tiny. He's so... Man, Blaha is withering away. He's disappearing, dude.
Eccentric reps. Eccentric reps, that's not going to happen. Right? The lowering of the...
He's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I thought bodybuilding was to get mass, to get bigger. You know, get bigger and stuff like that, right? What's going on here?
Wait, not so much more concentrics. We know
Concentrics?
faster concentrics can do some interesting stuff as long as they're controlled.
Concentrics can do some magical stuff. Well, that would be the concentrics are the up force, aren't they? Well, the up force, what's that associated with? If you eat an artificial diet, sarcoplasmic, it's a pump. The pump, you get the pump when you push up, not when you pull down. Get it? The eccentric exercise is associated with muscle damage, but concentric is always associated with the pump, especially if you're eating an artificial diet. But it's also associated with some more force production. Of course, the up force, because you're going against gravity, dude. It's kind of obvious. But that's not what they're talking about when they say it's superior. Eccentric exercises in science, they say is superior to concentric. They mean superior, meaning that, and then they talk about why the motor units, when they're being activated and stuff like that. And in concentric, well, there's a lot of damage going on there. There has to be some rebuilding now because that's damage. That's damage training. Now, we know that concentric is not associated with damage. So what are you getting there exactly? See what I mean? If concentric's not associated with damage, but eccentric is, what are you getting?
Meaning you don't want them so fast that the bar is flinging around. You know, you don't want to lose control of the bar. But
Yes.
when you have control of the bar and you explode with the weight as hard as possible,
Yes.
I mean, we do know that we'll get upper threshold muscle fibers quicker. Okay?
Yeah, it will get it. Sure it will, of course. And?
EMG shows good too, but what was interesting was that the individual muscles, instead of all the muscles, did respond more to this. All right.
You know, I remember being in Mexico, people got so upset with me. I went to these restaurants, I kept ordering more and more food. And then one lady said, no more food. And I go, what? I'm paying. She goes, no more. I'm like, but I have money. I want to buy more. No, she told me no. I'm like, what? She told me no, man. Because I was a massive dude. I needed to eat a lot of food back then. They kept telling me, people are asking, I remember people asking me, how do you maintain? You're big, man. You're so big, dude. How do you maintain that? And I was like, because they go, we never see you lifting. We never see you go to a gym or anything because it's not based on gym. It's based on food. Hello. How do I maintain it? I maintain it while if I was eating. But at some point I got really, really lazy as the years went by. And then I was partying too much, girlfriend this, that, and drinking and doing a bunch of weird stuff. So yeah, didn't really, that doesn't work too well, especially with bodybuilding.
Well, now we're measuring something in the lab.
Oh yeah, in the lab.
We can't dismiss it as hippie, airy-fairy nonsense when we can measure the
It's obvious. One of these cars.
airy-fairy nonsense when we can measure
Sure.
the energy of it. Okay.
The Energy.
So, from that point,
Where's the
at least from a scientific
where's the energy coming from?
perspective, we then had to say, there's something.
Why do they tell people not to have sex? To save energy. You're expelling energy. Okay. Does that, what, I don't understand that. You don't have enough money to eat? Is that what they're trying to tell you? Well, there's no money in the budget. You can't eat, right? To put back that energy. So don't have sex because you're expelling energy.
Possibly do this. Again, you can't just.
Again, people just really don't understand. Everything is based on being anabolic. It's based on eating to build your body big and strong. And even your lifts will go up really super high, dude. I mean, your lifts are you're gonna be super strong. You're gonna be like Superman, especially after you feel it. You go to the buffet, you eat for hours and hours, and then you go home and you eat for hours and hours, and then you wake up, you eat for hours and hours. You are gonna be friggin' like Superman, dude.
Just miss it out right now.
Oh, I forgot. None of you have money out there, so I guess, but you could afford Turkestron and these phony protein powders. Like I said, eating those protein powders, your sandwich and your breakfast and whatever your dinner, that doesn't put you in an anabolic growth state. You're eating like ordinary people do out there. All of you eat like ordinary people. You need to start eating like real lifters. Get it? Like a lifter. That's your problem. You don't eat like a lifter. You eat like, I don't know, cereal, donuts, and coffee, and you don't even eat enough, bro. Whatever.
Not if you're a logically
And you're eating the wrong food.
consistent, intelligent person, intellectually honest person. Well, there have been apparently later studies done that I've seen some researchers reference, and I have not done.
Plants have incomplete proteins in them. You can't build muscles eating a fake plant-based diet. It's a fake diet. Get it? Get it, man? Get it? Get it? Hey, Big Trips, get it? You get it?
Deep into those studies.
Big Trip said he was big. Well, how do I account for that? Well, they ain't the weights that put on that weight, and I doubt it. I doubt you're eating that much protein. So I think it's sarcoplasmic. Get it? Get it?
That showed that when mind-muscle connection was used,
Oh yeah.
hypertrophy was improved. Okay?
When mind muscle was, oh man, hypertrophy was improved when there was a connection, dude.
Even in the case where if it made you fatigue a little quicker. So some people notice how some of these curls I'm doing, because biceps and arms have historically been a very weak link for me.
So why doesn't Blaha do any of these things? If all of these things work, the mind muscle connection, doing that, or doing these sets, or whatever the hell he's doing here, lifting, this much or doing that much, then why doesn't it reflect on his physique? Why doesn't it reflect? I wonder why. Because none of it works, dude.
So I've really been focusing on bringing out my arms. I'm actually working on my arms and my pecs a lot right now. Not as much on things like my lats and all that stuff. It's really dominant for me, posterior chain from all the years of powerlifting. Okay? So on those curls, when I train that way, which you see me doing here, same thing. I can't lift as much weight for as many reps. I fatigue quicker. But that's also what they found in the lab when people try to do this and they focus on that muscle.
He fatigues quick? Then why are you doing that? Pumping more glycogen in there?
Sometimes you lose a little bit of performance, but what they found is, the hypertrophy can still be really, really good, even with that loss of performance. Why? Well, because as we know from the other stuff, it's simply recruiting more muscle fibers. So if we're recruiting muscle fibers more effectively and then fatiguing them.
Wait a second. He's recruiting more muscle fibers. Is he recruiting more motor units too? Or is he recruiting more muscle fibers? What is he recruiting? I think he has it wrong. You're recruiting motor units. He's like, you're recruiting muscle fibers. You're using your muscle fibers, but you're recruiting motor units. and androgen receptors is what you're doing. That's what you are recruiting, androgen receptors and motor units for maximum force production.
Muscle fibers. We have to understand that. It's not just about activating, it's about creating enough fatigue in a muscle that your body then responds by making it grow. Okay? Because just
What? It responds and then it makes it grow magically without eating on a bagel diet, dude? On just a bagel diet and cottage cheese. Oh my God, this is a miracle, bro. Why doesn't Blaha do any of this? Why isn't he growing then?
activating it's not enough, or else all your endurance muscles just from jogging, endurance runners would have pretty dang big legs.
Endurance
They
muscles?
oftentimes don't.
Joggers? They have pretty big legs? Endurance muscles? What are you talking about?
Unless they're doing a lot of heavy leg work and maybe got good leg genetics. So it's not.
Okay, man, I'm going to explain this. The reason why ectomorphs are so good at running forever and ever, that's why this guy talks about, oh, they're chasing these animals, you know, these hunters. They were keep coming and they keep coming and they keep running. And then the animal looks back and they go, he's still coming again. Because humans, you as ectomorphs have more type 1 than they have type 2 muscle fibers. That's why they can keep running forever. You get it? Forever and ever. Yeah. Oxygenated fibers. You know what I mean? You got fast twitch and oxygenation. Yeah, type 1. Yes, okay.
Enough to simply activate. We have to create fatigue in the muscle fibers. But if we're
See, he's like, you have to create fatigue in the muscle fibers. And here's the thing, though. You don't want to fatigue muscles because here's the thing. Type 2 muscle fibers aren't fatigable. Only type 1 are. And they never truly get fatigued because you have more type 1 than type 2. You understand me? Do you understand, Blaha?
recruiting them more frequently through the set, getting to them sooner because we're focusing on that, then we end up recruiting them for more total reps. And again, we start talking about those deeper muscle fibers, the ones that really grow more and more as the more we get advanced. Because keep in mind, as you go up that rate coding chain,
The deeper muscle fibers, they'll grow and grow and grow?
more advanced you get as a lifter, the less the other muscle fibers are willing to grow.
What?
So ultimately, you're left, once you get quite advanced, the only stuff that's growing is the deeper fibers. The fastest switch fibers, that's the only ones that are
The deeper muscle fibers, the fast twitch muscle fibers, they're the only ones that grow? Well, yeah, those are the ones that are supposed to be growing, yes. Type 2, fast twitch, that's what grows. It's not type 1. Type 1s will grow a little bit, but it's mostly type 2 if you're lifting.
really getting a lot of muscle.
Because lifting has nothing to do with running. If you're running, then you're relying on type 1. But if you're lifting, you're relying on type 2. That's the ones that are going to get built. Hello? Cool, geez.
So if you're not fatiguing them, if you're not reaching them, because people say, well, they're reached on the 1 rep max. That's true. But it's only
But they're not fatigable type 1. I don't know what he's talking about. He says fatiguing these muscle fibers, then there's a shift because you're still using type 1 and type 2 there for lifting that weight. Get it? Get it?
1 rep, and it may not usually be sufficient, particularly for an advanced lifter. Nobody's getting big from doing a 1 rep max. Just come in just.
No one's getting big from doing a 1 rep max. Okay, Blaha. Yeah. But what if I'm going down to the buffet and eating for 10 hours a day? Will I not get big?
Squat, bench, and deadlift once a week really hard. All right? Nobody's getting big doing that. So it really is about creating that fatigue. So if it's
I don't know. Do you have any proof nobody's getting big doing that? If they're eating in an anabolic growth state?
allowing us to get a little higher quality sets, I think particularly when we're trying to isolate certain muscles a little bit more, we've got now both EMG data kind of showing how it works.
Man, this is kind of sad watching this, man, and listening to Blaha. It's actually, guys, I'm telling you, this video, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, man. I have to really tell you the truth. It's pathetic. And I'm going to get some really pathetic, not the people on my channel. There's some smart people on my channel. They write really cool comments in there. But I'll get some outside people, really. They come and go, and they will write me some real pathetic comments, bro. It is actually really sad. A guy, he comes to my channel sometimes. He wrote me, he even put a link now. He goes, you should check me out or something. He wrote something. I was like, what is he talking about? And he's like, lifting in a garage too, lifting away. And he goes, critique me or something like that. It's like, say something about me. What's there to say, dude? There's nothing going on over there. I don't know what you're talking about. Shoo-wee, man.
We've got some hypertrophy studies kind of showing, yeah, it seems to work. Okay, and we've got decades of bodybuilders saying, well, I've done this. And
Okay, there was some what? Hypertrophy studies. How did they measure the growth with a microscope, or CT scan, to find out if there was any growth there? Because obviously they didn't see any mass.
it seems to work.
Again, in order to see mass on that myofibrillar, protein synthesis needs to exceed breakdown. They're not talking about 32 grams of protein, bro. Get it? Lifting slave stuff.
Okay, so we could look at that and say, yeah, pretty reasonable concept, seems to work. Before we studied it, we didn't have real evidence other than the anecdote, but it's been looked at.
How can something work without food? Without food? It's crazy.
More and more. And so you've got the real world, decades of bodybuilders doing it. Now we're studying it in the lab and saying, yeah, it seems to help a little bit. It's not like a game changer, but it helps.
Yeah.
And that's the key point. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today.
Thank God.
I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.
It was very.
You know that thing we do where we go, yeah, I know.
It was very uninformative, Blaha. I don't know, friends. You tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel, comment down below. Helps with the algorithm. That was ridiculous. I have no clue what he was trying to convince you to do this. You people are actually going to listen to him and go out there and do that? Wow, you have to be worse off than he is. Anyways, like I said, like, subscribe, comment down below. Helps with the algorithm. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, friends. That was just ridiculous.